but his finger. But the song. Killing me softly with his verse.
Hey guys, thank you so much for checking in with me today. I'm very excited to get into episode number 2 of the new segment on my channel called The Come Up. If you haven't seen episode number 1 featuring Jorja Smith, it's on my channel now. Make sure you go check that out. Today we're going to get into an artist who I've really been feeling lately. He has a very unique sound and a very unique name too. His name is Giveon. And it's funny because as unique as his sound is, I feel like his name is too, because I've never heard of anyone else with that name. Here's a little bit of him explaining how his mom came up with his name.
My mom told me that she picked that name so I would somehow end up being someone that gives. If that's true, then she was right. So hopefully I'm giving you guys something now and I continue to give. So give on, you know?
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. I always think it's cool when you're the only one with your name in the class when you're a kid. You definitely didn't get confused with anyone else. So Giveon was born on February 21st, 1995. He's from Long Beach, California, same place as Snoop Dogg.
With so much drama in the LBC, it's kind of hard being Snoop D-O-double-G.
Giveon grew up on the east side of Long Beach. He speaks about it in a lot of interviews. He said it was a fun place, but it was dangerous at the same time. But he said he felt like his mom did a great job at making sure him and his brothers were always safe, and kind of they didn't get too involved in anything outside and become a product of their environment. But she also wasn't like too on top of them. And he gives his mom a lot of credit for his upbringing and kind of helping him to discover his talent for music. He talked about she used to play a lot of different artists and stuff, and I thought it was pretty funny to hear him get into this story.
She's actually the reason I really kind of noticed the talent. So to go even further back to when I started having an affinity for music at all, my mom would just play music around the house. Right. Same songs over and over. She wasn't good for being diverse.
It was just probably
Mary J. Blige, Anita Baker, Sade, and then it's like after waking up, hearing it play, I like these songs, but the 100th time, right, in a row, and then I start even there's this thing, even when a song is annoying you, you start humming it.
Of course, because it's in your head.
So I started humming it, and then I started singing it, and she started noticing that I could stay in pitch and key, so she would start having me sing to family members at birthday parties just to be like, look, he can sing. And then I'm singing to my 30-year-old uncles, and it's just, I'm right now, he turning 30. He don't want me singing to him.
But why
I'm
you
8.
Right.
I am 8 years old. So, but what I didn't realize is just singing the songs and stuff over and over, I was building my craft again, secretly doing those 10,000 hours and not even realizing it. So she's a big part of that, the birth of me just singing.
So I thought that was a hilarious story, how he talked about how he was 8 and his uncle turning 30 and your parents wanted you to sing. Like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, the Jorja Smith story, she has a similar type of situation where her mom would make her sing too. And so I think it's just an example of how sometimes our parents see things in us that we don't see, and they wanted to show it off. And in both the two artists that I've covered in the come up so far, their parents did that, and they eventually end up growing into it and actually making it their career. So I thought that was an interesting reminder for us to sometimes we need to listen to our parents because they see something we don't see, and this could eventually be a good thing for us. So as he continued to grow up and he started realizing, he really did like music, he eventually ended up hitting a point, I'm guessing this was probably around puberty, where his voice started to get a little deeper. If you guys heard any of his music, he has a super, super deep voice. So this was probably like the beginning stages of that part of the journey where you start to question yourself. And so as his voice got deeper, he said he was trying to sing songs like Miguel and Frank Ocean, and he was having a hard time. He almost was ready to give up. Like, I guess that's it. I guess I can't sing. I think this was an interesting time in especially a lot of male singers, when you realize your voice started changing from when you started singing from young. You may not be able to get to those high notes that you could before. Your voice kind of got deeper.
Like I was singing like Miguel songs,
right.
You know what I mean, with the higher like just register,
right.
And then I'll say like 8th grade, going into high school. My dad has a lower deep voice,
yeah.
So then going into high school, my voice just drops,
yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't know how to sing anymore.
So you just said it just like that?
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I accepted it. So that's when, but that was also the best thing that ever happened to me too, that moment, because that's when I started writing.
So I thought that was really interesting, you know, how he kind of admitted that, because like I say, and I try to express in a lot of my videos, everybody, even people that we look up to and we feel like they're so amazing, they also go through, you know, moments of doubt and questioning themselves, their talent, their capabilities. When they share those experiences, it kind of allows us to feel normal and also gives us some hope in any of the things that we're trying to accomplish or goals that we have, because when we have moments of doubt, we can kind of remember, oh, this is someone that I look up to, or someone that actually made it, and they went through these moments too of when they weren't sure if they were good enough, but they continued to push through and they became successful, or they just accomplished whatever it was that they had set out to achieve. So I thought that was a really interesting part of his story. And also how he said that this was kind of a shift for him. Like, he shifted some of his focus into writing, which obviously in the long run, if you can write your own songs, that's a major plus. So I really, really appreciated him sharing that, you know, being that honest and vulnerable is not a place that a lot of people would come from. But moving forward, so when he was in high school, his mom had actually pushed him into a music education program at the Grammy Museum in LA. And this is where he started to get exposed to some different artists that actually opened his eyes and made him realize that his deep voice, he might actually be able to work it. So some of the artists that he credited to kind of inspiring him was Barry White and most notably Frank Sinatra, Fly Me to the Moon. He said that when he heard that, it kind of blew his mind and it started to make him feel like, okay, maybe there's a chance with this deep voice I could do something with this.
How did I get into Frank Sinatra? I did a program at the Grammy Museum in downtown LA, and they heard my tone and they told me to just look up a song called Fly Me to the Moon. And that was my first time hearing a baritone singer, so I was excited. That was a life-changing moment for me, because now I embrace my tone instead of trying to conform and sound like more traditional singers.
So during this time, he was starting to create his own songs, and he put out a small EP, I think when he was young, maybe about 13, 14, but I guess he wasn't feeling it, so he completely scratched it. And he decided that he needed to continue to work on his craft and get better, but he was still gonna pursue it.
I asked myself, would I make music if no one ever heard it?
Right.
And then I was like, yeah. Like, even if it's just me hearing it, I'll do it. And that was just me asking myself if I loved it.
Right.
So while he was working on getting better with his music, he had to pick up a job. He actually worked at Bubblegum Shrimp. He talked about his experience there, and it wasn't the best of times.
Like, yo, I was a server and I had to be in a shrimp suit.
But he stayed there for a little while, and when he ended up leaving that job, he started a dog walking company for a little while. And through these times, he was still working on the music. He put together 2 tracks that he really liked, that he felt confident in. Those 2 tracks ended up doing pretty good numbers, and they caught the attention of a producer by the name of Seven Thomas. So when Seven Thomas reached out and they started working together, Seven Thomas had relationships. He's worked with a lot of other big artists. Snow Allegra, which is another artist covered on this channel, Seven Thomas had a relationship with her, and she was going on tour. And when they heard Givion's music, she wanted to bring him on tour with her, and this just opened the floodgates to giving him a lot more exposure. During this time is actually when he got his biggest look to date, probably. He got the feature with Drake, and it's called Chicago Freestyle if you haven't heard it. But it's funny, because even on that song, a lot of people mistake mistaken him for Sampha. And if you guys haven't heard of him, you can look him up. He's also another artist. He's from the UK who has a really deep voice like Giveon. So it took a little bit of time for people to realize who he was. But he spoke in this little interview here saying how he was prepared. And life is all about opportunities. So after he did this song with Drake, he actually had music prepared to come out so that he could begin to establish himself.
There's opportunities everywhere. It's just a matter of, are you ready when the opportunity comes to you? You know what I mean? So even like the feature with Drake, I could have easily just had that feature and then had nothing ready.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I had this body of work, take time, ready to go. So preparation met the opportunity, and that's when success is created. You know what I mean? So it's like, now I just try to stay ready now.
So after that, Giveon and Seven Thomas continue to work together and to drop his first project called Take Time. And that went on to do pretty well too. And now he's got a pretty sizable fan base, and I really like his music. His sound is very, very unique, and he seems like a very positive person. I'm really excited to see what he does continuing moving forward. I love his story. I love how he never gave up, even when he may have lost a little bit of confidence or started to question himself when his voice changed. It would have been very easy because he doesn't sound like a lot of people out now to just kind of give up. So that's what I love. I love to hear those type of stories because they're encouraging to everyone else, and he's doing really well for himself. So if you guys have heard of Giveon, or if you guys know anything that I missed out about, please let me know in the comments below and let me know what you thought about the video, and I'll see you guys soon. Hope you enjoyed. Have a blessed day.